All right, guys, what is up? My name is Zach Labasso. This is Addison Howard, and this is the first ever filming and recording of the Around the World Soccer podcast. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been busy with school and stuff, but now that school's over and I have this cool platform that I've been working on with Philly Sports Network, I've been able to do it. And I found a good co-host and one who isn't super well versed on the world of soccer, but he's learning. And I think that's going to be a cool aspect in the podcast that will allow my knowledge and then his wanting to learn about the game and his interest in it to really incorporate a lot of people in the community. So to get started, let's right off the bat, Addison, tell us about why you decided now was the time to get into soccer. And because I know you're big on sports everywhere else, like you know it all. You're very well versed, but you were lacking the soccer section, and now you've decided to come in and explain to us why that is.
Well, after graduating high school, I just ended up with a lot of friends who just played soccer. So, it was kind of forced upon me just watching it all the time. And then once you watch it, you realize, it's very similar to basketball, like lacrosse is. Obviously it's a different game, but it's very similar to basketball. So that was a really easy way for me to just, incorporate myself in, me playing basketball. And then the one player, Memphis Depay, I actually heard of him first as a rapper.
Yep.
I had no idea he was a soccer player. So, I was a fan of him. And then, with a lot of soccer players being going to basketball games, you see a lot. So it wasn't too hard to recognize a lot of people, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely different than most sports. I find it unique that with soccer, there's a lot of talent across the world in every sport. If you see basketball, mainly the talent is in the NBA. You'll find some talent in Spain, Australia, China.
Yep.
But soccer, you can legit find, there's a great player in the Premier League. And then you can go to France, there's a great player over there. There's a great player in Germany. You know what I'm saying? There's great players, Spain, Italy, clearly. So, there's great players literally everywhere. You can't beat that with soccer. So, it's real interesting. And for American sports or American soccer, the time is now. So
absolutely. The national team's looking really good. We just saw today, I think it was today, maybe yesterday, two of the Union players who were sold to, one was sold to Austria, Brendan Aronson, and then the other two, Belgium in Mark McKenzie. They were both called up for the Nations League squad, which is super cool. We obviously have Serginho Dest, who I think, personally, probably unpopular opinion, I think he's the best player on the team. He does it all. I mean, he's a little suspect defensively, but as a right back, if you have someone who can bomb forward and create like he does, and he can play on both sides too, which is crazy. But and then for you, have you started? I know you're into you're Chelsea fan. You've claimed them. Have you started to watch MLS at all? Because I know that that's something it's very different to other leagues around the world.
I haven't watched too many games. If Philadelphia is on, I'll watch. Mm-hmm. But it's actually funny. I've been watching a lot of the Chicago Red Stars, the women's team.
Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of people from, I actually I follow at least 3-4 people on the team without realizing they were on the team. So I just started watching them.
Yeah, the NWSL is definitely growing. I'm waiting for a team to come to Philly. We need it. I mean, we're a soccer town because the talent around here is crazy. So I don't understand why there hasn't been a team yet, but I'm sure it's coming soon. I would be surprised, honestly, if the Union kind of backed it and made a Union women's team. I think that'd be pretty cool. So in your coming to fandom of the sport, what has been the most difficult thing for you to grasp about maybe the game itself, and then also just the business side of it as well?
Well, for the game, offsides was a big problem for me. I couldn't.
It always is. It always is.
Not differentiate what's offsides, what's not offsides. So that took months for me to just be okay, he's offsides, he's not offsides. Yeah. But right now, I guess the biggest thing is game-wise is the class, differentiating pace and class, because it definitely is different. But like to the naked eye, it's just the same thing, so definitely watching. But the business side is extremely unique because you see soccer players, the transfer market is not like any other it's not like any other sport. So you really see soccer players doing what like quarterbacks do, in my opinion. They really like designate where they want to go. So I think that's really, really cool. At least sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's very interesting too is how much of a global brand like the players are in themselves. Like you have Ronaldo, Messi, obviously, Neymar. They're like LeBron level, but like even guys like you said, Memphis Depay, or guys like I don't know Harry Kane,
Yeah,
and Jamie Vardy. Like you have all these guys who I would say like maybe not all the people I just named, but there's a lot of players who aren't as well known like in the soccer world that are still very well known by people who don't really know soccer that well.
absolutely.
Like Ibrahimovic is a big one. He's just got that big personality.
Yeah,
Yeah, and guys like that. And I think what Americans fail to understand a lot of the time is that the game itself, like you said, is very similar to other sports. And I just don't think they give it a chance. Like I know that, yeah, 2-1 games, 1-0 games. Like you may think it's like not exciting because teams don't score. But at the same time, like if you watch the whole game, like a team could hit the post and crossbar like 6 times and the goalie could make like 14 saves. And
right.
you're like, and that's kind of like a no hitter in baseball. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
no one hit the ball, but the goalie made 14 saves and they won 1-0. Like it's kind of like that. Now moving on from that, what made you choose Chelsea as your favorite team? Because I know you were like on the PSG wave for a while because like PSG is very drippy. PSG is like the drippiest club in the world. Their kits are always fire. They have Neymar and Mbappe, who are two of the most, I don't know, sauciest players. Sauciest players is the most sauce players in the world, for sure. And yeah, so what made you choose Chelsea? Like, what made you move over once you started to understand the game more?
Right. So I always wanted a team in the Premier League to root for because, that's the best league. So you definitely want a team in the Premier League to root for. But, when I found out that Christian Pulisic was from Pennsylvania, that really set the mark because, there's not really too many American players that you can just point out and be like, wow, like
Yeah,
that's us. So when I found out he was from America, let alone PA, that really just set it for me. Became my favorite player. Just started rooting for him. So wherever Pulisic goes, I'm follow.
that's your team. Fair enough. Fair enough. I actually used to play against him when we were like little,
He's a
like
dog,
we were
man.
10 and 11. He played for a team called PA Classics from like Lancaster area.
Okay,
Um,
okay, yeah.
and all I remember about him was like he was super tiny, but had like the craziest foot skills. Now at the time, like I was never like this kid's gonna be the best American soccer player we've ever seen. I
Right,
mean, he was very good, but then like I heard the name Christian Pulisic at Dortmund. I was like, oh, that's cool. We have an American like playing, and then like
right.
he's from Hershey, PA, and he played for PA Classics. And I was like, wait a second, like
Damn kid.
yeah, I was like, I used to play against PA Classics all the time. Like
That's
I
awesome.
definitely, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, he's really. I hope next year he can just stay healthy.
Oh yeah,
Because injuries have been a big problem for him. Because if he stays healthy, like he could be one of the most dangerous players in the Prem, just because his ability to go at people, and he's pretty fearless in his dribbling and his ball movement,
yeah.
and he's one of those players that takes chances. Like I watch another podcast called the True Geordie podcast, and they do like watch alongs for games and stuff, and they always talk about the one Chelsea fan always talks about how like when the ball gets played in and like is shot on goal, he's always taking that chance that the goalie's going to spill it or it's going to hit off the post. And it
Yeah.
actually happened. I forget what game it was, but it was somewhat recently. It had to have been like within the past 2 months. And the ball hit off the post and he was just right there to finish it.
Extremely
So
aggressive.
yeah, definitely very aggressive. Now on top of that, have you started like getting more well versed on the players that have been like coming up through the national team, like the young guys, besides Pulisic and Dest and the big names?
Not too much yet. I'm kind of more focused on just learning everybody in the Premier League
Yep.
because there's so many teams. Like you'll go from like Man City being one of the best teams to a team like Newcastle who has Saint Maximin and like Crystal Palace. I love Wilfred Zaha. I think he's awesome.
Man's a legend. Man is
Yeah, I think
certainly
he's
a legend.
awesome. So I think once I get the Premier League down, I'm definitely gonna go right to the national team and just try to learn everybody.
Yeah.
But the Premier League got a lot of players, a lot
Yeah,
of teams,
yeah,
a lot of
for
players.
sure, for sure. Now what did you think of this season being your first season? Because it definitely was interesting.
Oh yeah,
The season was kind of very up and down for a lot of teams besides Man City.
yeah,
There was a lot of movement and stuff. So what were your thoughts in terms of like Chelsea going from, I think they were like 12th at one point up to
yes,
third or fourth. Man, you had an up and down season. Liverpool coming up clutch with
yeah.
Champions League on the last day. Like what were your thoughts watching these weeks go by?
So you being like a casual soccer fan before this season, you only know like the big teams.
Yeah,
So
like
like
the big six.
exactly. So like when I came in, I expected, Man City to be the best, Liverpool to be the best. I heard of Chelsea, but like I didn't know like anything about them. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you one player that has played for them. So I didn't expect Chelsea to be one of the best teams. That's for sure. But what really surprised me is that Man City, what they go on that 20-game winning streak.
It was like 19 or 20, something like that.
Exactly.
Something like
So
that.
that definitely opened my eyes to them because that can't be a likely thing to happen in
No,
soccer.
it does not happen. I think they broke the record for most consecutive
Exactly.
wins.
That was really impressive to me. But my biggest thing was just becoming like, hit with the players. I really
Yeah,
enjoy the players. Their personalities really show on the field. So
absolutely.
like they're like baseball players in that aspect where they can like get a goal or hit a home run and then really do what they want to do,
Yeah, yeah,
where football you get the flag,
yeah,
or NBA you'll get a technical foul. It's not necessarily like that. So
yeah.
I really enjoy the personality aspect of soccer. That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a very expressive sport, especially like depending on what position you play and how you play it. Like Neymar is very expressive in how he
Yeah,
dribbles, like all that stuff. Lewandowski's very expressive in the way he scores the most incredible goals and just
yeah,
so many goals. Ibra's expressive both on and off the pitch because he's
yeah,
very outgoing and confident, and some people would say cocky, which I would tend to agree with. But
yeah.
on the field, like he backs it up. Like he scores. If you look up a compilation of like top 50 goals in the past 20 years, I bet you Ibra has at least 10. Like I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't be
for
surprised
sure.
if he has at least 10. And then even defensively, like Wan-Bissaka, I don't remember the last time I've seen him get dribble past. Like it's been
Right.
a long time. He wins the ball every time. And goalies too. Like Ederson is like, I'm a Man City fan for those who don't know. And no, I'm not like one of those Man City fans who joined after they won 3 titles. I've been a Man City fan before they won their first title. So let's
I can
just get
attest.
that straight. But yeah, like Ederson is probably Man City's second best passer on the field. Like his footwork is crazy. He can side volley a ball. I think he broke the world record. It was like 84 yards or something, which is just out
Crazy.
like unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
and then but then going back to like what you're saying about the Prem itself and just like the season, how crazy it was. I always have had, especially since they won, but the whole season that Leicester won the league, I was like, this is a cool team. Like Mahrez was awesome. You can't help but love Conte. And
Yeah, I
then
was just about to bring him up.
Jamie Vardy's story in world football has to be like the best story I've ever heard.
He's just a dog, isn't he?
Yeah,
The dog.
he came into the league at 28. He
Mm,
was working at like, I think it was like a carbon fiber factory while he was playing non-league football and like League One, League Two stuff. He got promoted with Leicester, and he goes on to break records in the Prem as one of the best goal scorers we've seen. And it's just like it's the craziest. They won the FA Cup this year. I'm sorry to Chelsea, but they won. They won the FA Cup.
okay.
And
Okay.
and yeah, like Leicester's always been not always, but like since they've won, like I've always been like, all right, if City's not gonna win it, I want Leicester to win something. And I
All
don't know
right.
what it is. And I think a lot of it has to do with, and we saw like the whole owner thing, like their
Yeah.
owner tragically died in the helicopter crash.
Yeah.
And then there was this video going around of the owner's son, who's now the owner, with all the players and Brendan Rodgers after they won the FA Cup. And I just feel like everyone loves the club that they're playing in. And I feel like a lot of clubs right now, players and fans and stuff are like disgruntled with the upper level ownership.
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot through the Super League thing. And I'm sure that was a crazy thing that you went through in your first season. You're
Yeah.
probably like, what's going on? Like this,
Yeah.
like, and for me, it was like, obviously I was in the majority with the fans who were like, this is dumb. Like no one
Right.
wants this, because it takes away the aspect of David versus Goliath. Like you don't have like you could go play Newcastle at home on a Tuesday night and Newcastle could beat them.
Right.
Now you just have these big games all the time. And while big games every week is awesome, like it would be great to watch, it makes them less special. And I think that's why the Champions League is so special. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I just thought that, and especially for like lower league teams, there would be so much less money because the TV rights would go way down, and all that stuff, which just isn't good for the game as a whole. It just promotes that money wins, and Leicester would never happen if that was the case. Like the Leicester story would never be a thing if the Super League, like Brentford could come up next year, do okay, and then the next year win the Prem again. But because the Super League's there, like, oh, the league's weaker, it doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah.
So that's really something that I'm glad got struck down. And I hope the new Champions League format gets struck down too, because there's just so many games, and as a former player myself, like I know that as you like, because when we were kids, we would play like 5 games in 3 days, and we'd be like, that was nothing. Like, let's go again. But once you get older, like you got to play 1 game a day max. And then even that gets stressful. Like when I got to college, it was 2 or 3 games a week. And that was even a lot because you practice every day too. So I couldn't imagine playing at the professional level and having to play a game on Saturday, have Sunday off, train Monday, travel Tuesday, play a game Wednesday, rest, play a game Friday, rest, play a game Sunday, because you have the cups in your domestic countries as well. Like you have the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and all that stuff. So you're playing like 4 or 5 games a week at that point. When Champions League's in play, which is just completely outrageous. Like you could never do that. And that gets to the point where injuries and player health and player safety is really big. And we definitely need to protect the players, because without the players, you don't have soccer. So
another thing, I'm happy you brought that up about, the toll it takes on your body. Another thing that really caught me is, when you watch a soccer game, because, everyone watches the World Cup, right? Everyone watches the World Cup, but that's once every 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then maybe people watch the Olympics. The people in America, if they're watching the Olympics, most likely they're watching the women's. So,
well, the men didn't even qualify this year for the Olympics.
Man. So, but I've grown to really respect how athletic these soccer players are, because it's truly running the whole game. Right. So it's like, and most of the best players don't come out the game for 90 minutes. You got that break at halftime, obviously, but that's 45 minutes of your own go. Your head has to be swivel. So it's hand-eye coordination on top of balance, on top of, you have to literally be in amazing shape so you can keep that pace. So it's real. The athletes are really crazy in soccer.
And the craziest thing that I saw over the past like month and a half was players playing during Ramadan and like not being able to eat or drink. And you had like N'Golo Kante, who was practicing, or like or participating in Ramadan and the fasting, and he's running like 7-8 miles a game, and he couldn't eat or drink all day. Like
he's taking the liquid like during the game.
Yeah, like as soon as he could break his fast, he'd go to the sideline, have a little snack and a drink. But even that, like how do you have that much fitness and like stamina and all that stuff, to not have to eat and drink and still cover that much distance in a game. Like that part, that was mind blowing, because I totally forgot about the fact that like they couldn't drink water even. Like I knew they couldn't eat or like drink other things, but I didn't even know they couldn't drink water.
It's crazy.
And to not drink, like he must have been hydrating and stuffing his face from sundown to sunup, because to be able to do what he does, and not just him, there were tons and tons of players around the world doing this. And yeah, it was just crazy to see. And then now moving on from the Prem, did you follow Serie A at all this year, the Italian league?
Is that where Juve plays?
Yes.
So I would catch Juve games. I'm not really too versed on like the other teams, but whenever Juve was playing, I would definitely watch for Ronaldo. So I've probably seen a good amount of games.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was just to touch on a little bit. It was a crazy season because I think Inter Milan won their first title in 11 years.
Okay, and AC Milan's in there too.
AC Milan's in there too. So
okay,
Ibra,
so I know players those teams.
Yeah. So Inter won their first title in 11 years, which is insane. And then Juve almost missed out on Champions League. Which would have meant Ronaldo was going to leave. If they didn't make Champions League, Ronaldo's leaving. Because for those of you who don't know, which if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you do know, Ronaldo is Mr. Champions League. Like he's the greatest Champions League player of all time. He's got the most goals. I think he has the most assists. He's won 5 of them himself. He's the best Champions League player of all time. So if Juve didn't qualify, he was going to leave. And I think he might still leave. I think he might go to Man U. If he's going to go anywhere, I think he's going to go Man U.
Ooh.
Which would be awesome, because I think what should happen, and this is just the fan of the sport in me, he should go to Man U. Messi should go to Man City. 1 more year in the same league. Then they go play in MLS together for like 2 or 3 years. That would
be awesome.
Like, and they're gonna play in Miami. I already know they're gonna play in Miami because David Beckham's gonna be like, come to Miami, and they're gonna be like, all right. So they're gonna play in Miami. But I can't wait for the day where I get to see both of them play at the same time on the same team.
That would be
in Philadelphia, in Philly.
The promotion for the sport would go.
Because if you thought Beckham was huge when he joined the Galaxy back in 2009, I think this would dwarf that by 10, 15 times.
That's nuts.
I can't wait. Like Messi and Ronaldo, in my estimation, are the 2 greatest players to ever play the game. And of course, you got the old guys who were like, no, Pele, Maradona. And like, that's all great and dandy. And I respect what they did, although I think Pele's a teeny bit overrated. Messi and Ronaldo have been doing it for 10, 12 years. Like
at the highest
level. Yeah. They are both the leading goal scorer every year, besides the past like 2, I think, because Lewandowski decided to score lots of goals. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's actually nuts. It's actually nuts to think about how long they've stayed at the peak. And just barely, I think Messi got injured like 1 year. Ronaldo missed the final of, it was either the Nations League or the Euro final. But other than that, like they've stayed healthy, and like Messi scored 91 goals in a calendar year. That doesn't make any sense. Who does that? Easy. And it was like in like 60 games or something insane. And Ronaldo, like I said, is the leading goal scorer and I believe leading assister of the Champions League. And again, this year they led both their leagues in goals. Again, Ronaldo's 35 or 36, Messi's 34, I think.
Yeah, they're getting up there.
They're getting up there, but they're still there. It's like LeBron. It's like LeBron. It's really like LeBron in the NBA. Where they've just been at the peak for so long. And LeBron's done it even longer. LeBron was in the league at what? 18?
18, yeah.
I think Messi really got his break at like 19, Ronaldo at like 21. So LeBron's even been doing it longer. And it's been like, I feel so lucky to have been able to see like LeBron, in my estimate. I know you've recently somewhat switched sides on the LeBron debate, and
it's true.
LeBron is in my estimate, the GOAT. And to be able to see like 3 players that you could quantify and qualify as the GOAT in their respective sports.
Oh yeah.
Along with like you also have like Nadal, Federer in tennis. We got to watch them. Serena in women's tennis. Brady. We have like we've gotten to watch all these athletes at the same time. And it's really just like crazy when you think about it. Like you're just like, wow, they've all been there during my and our childhood too. Like it wasn't even like we got to like grow up with these guys and they've become our idols, and the women have become like we also have like Megan Rapinoe's been fantastic, Alex Morgan, all those guys, all those girls, I guess I should say. You have Abby Wambach, like they're icons, really. All of them.
Favorite.
Abby Wambach's legendary, like legendary. And they're all just like icons in their own right. They're the greatest in their sports, and they've all been the last 20 years. And it'll be very interesting to see how quickly people start claiming new people to be the GOAT. Because you have guys like Mbappe coming up and Haaland coming up, right? And you have players like in the NBA, you have Embiid and Simmons, and you got Jason Tatum and guys like that. And it'll just be interesting to see if they're able to stay at the top as long as the other athletes we named, and how quickly they reach peaks that the other athletes have already reached.
Oh yeah. I think it's really cool that, you know, most of the players, most of the people you named, they really surround each other like with those people.
Yeah.
You know, it's really greatness recognizes greatness. But to piggyback off your point is how soon will they try to declare the next GOAT? I feel like the right answer is yesterday, because, you know, there's always someone somewhere always, you know, trying to declare a GOAT. You know, so there's always a next GOAT to somebody, whether, you know, it's public opinion, personal opinion, you know. So for public opinion, it's going to be hard for someone to outdo Messi and Ronaldo, because it's really unfair, because, you know, those two, if they played by themselves, each one, we would definitely know who's the best. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, the thing is with that is if they played by themselves, they wouldn't be where they are.
That is true. It's the competition.
Yeah, because every year, like Ronaldo scored, like it happens week in, week out too. And I noticed it. Like Ronaldo will score 2 goals and have an assist in his game, and then Messi will play the next game and have 3 goals. I'm like, what's like? But then if there's a quiet week from one of them, the other one I also notice doesn't do as well. Like,
like the game off.
it's very weird the way it works, and like. I guess, I mean, LeBron really never had that guy to really challenge him. I mean, he had a couple, like he had Kobe and he had, I mean, really it was just kind of like Kobe. And he was kind of by himself in the East for a while.
Yeah, he was.
Well, both on his team and in the conference, but like Federer, Nadal, right? You had Serena Williams and Sharapova for a while.
Tiger
and Phil.
Mickelson.
Phil, hey, props to Phil. Props to Phil. One the oldest to win a Masters.
Yeah,
or oldest to win a major. To win a major. Yeah. PGA Championship yesterday. Big props to him. Who else is there? I mean, yeah, baseball's kind of tough because
it's too tough to
because there's so many different positions, and it's because pitchers are their own position in themselves. Like you'd really have to dive deep into baseball for sure. But football, you had like Brady Rogers for a while, Brady Manning. Now that's a testament to Brady too, because he's surpassed, like he's lived through those generations.
Yeah, 2 different ones too. That's wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think we've talked about this before. Like, GOAT has very different meanings to different people.
Sure.
Like you could talk about how like you think Rodgers is the GOAT because in your estimate he's the best technical quarterback we've ever seen. Like in terms of talent and skill. Whereas Brady, you could say, is the GOAT because he's won 6 Super Bowls now. 6,
7. We got one of the. By the time we're 35, it'll be 10. So
yeah, he'll win a couple more.
Be 10.
So it's definitely, but like then you have Messi and Ronaldo, for example, and tennis is different too because you're the best and you're winning trophies because it's an
True.
individual thing. But Messi and Ronaldo have the trophies and the stats to back
Yeah,
it up, and it's now in my opinion, I think Messi is the best and Ronaldo is just slightly underneath him, but
yeah,
you could very well make an argument that Ronaldo's the best. And I couldn't say like, no, you're wrong, because
right.
they're so close to each other that it's tough to really declare someone um, who's the GOAT, because you have Ronaldo fanboys, Messi fanboys, whatever. But I'm just
Absolutely.
here for both of them, honestly. Like I'm here to watch both of them. And it's really going to be sad next winter because it's going to be both their last World Cups, I would assume.
Yeah.
um, which is really kind of going to signify like the end of that era.
Mhm.
But I mean, hey, I'm here for the Mbappe Holland rivalry. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Man.
It's going to be special, and you saw it already in the Champions League
Oh
when
yeah.
Holland bagged, I think it was 2 and had an assist, and then Mbappe scored 3 against Barca, and Holland was like, "Yeah, I did it because he challenged me to do it." Really, he didn't even have to say anything. I just knew it was a challenge. And they're both so young. Like I think Mbappe's younger than I am, and Holland's like 20,
There's some
21.
dogs coming up. There's some dogs
Yeah,
coming up for
yeah.
sure.
Not even just them, but like
The
like
one guy in Barcelona, I can't think his
Ansu
name.
Fati, Ansu Fati,
Yes, he's
Pedri.
coming.
Pedri's very good on
Yeah.
Barca. You got even Vinicius is coming into his own. I know he's a
Yeah.
little older, but he's coming into his own at Real Madrid lately. Who else is there? I'm trying to think.
I'm a
I
little
mean,
biased, but can't sleep on Kai Havertz.
Kai
Like,
Havertz, very
can't
good.
sleep on
Timo
him.
Werner's only 23 still.
Yeah.
He's got to pick it up a little bit, but I mean, he's had a great like people say that Werner's had like a bad season, but he
Right.
really hasn't. He's the first player since I think Lampard at Chelsea to have double-digit goals and assists in a single season.
It's
Now,
very
like
impressive.
Chelsea bought him because he scored 42 goals last year. He didn't
Right.
get to that mark. He probably could have if he scored all the chances that he missed,
Mhm.
but he still was very important to them winning games and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, yeah, man, there's a lot of young stuff. Phil Foden.
Oh my
Um,
goodness,
Phil
Phil
Foden
Foden.
is a different breed. You got
Oh my Lord.
Saka on Arsenal. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of young English guys,
That
all
are coming up.
always young French dudes, always
Yeah.
young French dudes. Um, I know City's been looking at this guy, this 17-year-old from Brazil, to sign him. Yeah, there's just so many, and it's just really good for the game because you think when Ronaldo and Messi leave, you're gonna be like, oh, it's not the same. But with Holland and Mbappe leading the pack, I know Neymar's
Yeah.
probably got a couple years left until he reaches that Messi Ronaldo like age where he's like, yeah, I'm getting there, I'm done.
Right.
But with that Mbappe Holland rivalry leading the young guys, then you just have a bunch of other studs underneath them who are trying to vie for that top 2, top 3 spot in the world. I
Yeah.
think I think the game's in a great place as long as the corporate side of it stays out of it,
Right.
like as much as they can. Like I know they have to make money, but if they can stay out of it and they can kind of chill on the history of the game and be like, this is how it needs to be forever. Um, I think the players that are coming up are definitely going to help the game move along
I agree.
in a forward way.
I agree. I think, I think the game is definitely being left in great hands, especially across, the world, any sport. Probably my biggest example would be, uh, the late 90s. They probably didn't know what they were going to do when Jordan retired from the
Yep.
NBA. And
Yep.
then boom, LeBron just falls into like the lap of everybody.
Yeah. And
So
they're
I
like,
feel
oh,
like
geez.
things like that just happen. And to be honest, Kobe really fell in the lap of everybody
Yep.
because to be like we expected LeBron to be LeBron. Very few people other than Kobe Bryant probably expected him to be
That's
Kobe
very
Bryant.
true. That's
So,
very true.
play
Also
great
an
players
Eastern,
on the lap.
also an Eastern Pennsylvania native, just so we're clear.
Sure, very true. So, great players, they just end up falling in our laps. Like Tom Brady fell in the lap. Like Serena, all these great players, I just feel like they just hop right on the TV and we're just wow, they're just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's really crazy. And I'm excited, man. Like now that we're like kind of adults now, which is
Yeah.
scary to think about.
Crazy.
Scary,
Crazy.
scary to think about. We can really like start enjoying these players more because like now, we're gonna start getting like big people money soon, and we
Yeah.
can like go to games.
Really go to games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was funny the other day. My friend and I, for about 5 minutes, were considering going to the Champions League final this weekend. Like,
That's
when
that's
they
all.
announced the tickets, I was like, dude, like I can kind of afford this. Let's go.
That
And
would
he
be
was
awesome.
like, it's a little tight for me. But if he said yes, like I think we would have been in Portugal on Friday. I think we would have been in Portugal on Friday, ready for that game.
That'd been an amazing experience, bro.
Yeah, I'll definitely get to. I got to go see a Premier League game at some point.
Yeah.
I got to go see a Champions League game. And honestly, like so for like MLS games, like I pay like $35 to go see a Union game, which is like super cheap, right?
Yeah.
For football games, if I go to an Eagles game, because that's like what's closest to me, it's probably like $200-300, right?
Especially for the tickets that you want to go to, it's probably like 500 because playing the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. That is true. But the Champions League final was like $600 for like
See,
the best ticket for the best tickets though. Now,
okay.
like
Yeah.
if I'm paying 300-400 for the Cowboys Eagles game, I'm still sitting in the nosebleeds.
Yeah.
Like I'm still sitting up way up high.
Yeah.
But and then the cheaper tickets were like 350-400.
Yeah.
And I
It's
was
amazing.
like, that's like a really good deal for someone who wants to go to that game. And the craziest thing too is the city owner is paying for all the people in the fan club their flights and their hotels. So they only have to pay for the
Wow.
ticket.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So it pays to be a billionaire for sure.
Yeah. There's no
But
question.
yeah, and I guess that leads us into our Champions League preview thing coming up. Since we've been talking about it, what were your thoughts? First, let's just talk about the Champions League itself and what your thoughts are on the tournament itself as a whole, and then also
Right.
like what you thought about the specific season of the Champions League, and then we'll get into the final preview.
So, obviously it's my first season really watching soccer, but I love the tournament. I think it's definitely one of my favorite playoff formats. I really enjoy the one game format. I mean, like the one game and then like there's a second leg. I really enjoy that format because you're not getting that anywhere else. Where like in basketball, you'll have two games, but the score doesn't stay the same. You got to come back. So it really matters like how you play in both the game. You can't miss a play. And if you do miss a play, it really could hurt you, especially more than any other sport. I really enjoy that. And then the competition level, it literally, not that they weren't trying before, but it just seemed like the pace got faster. The effort was more, the goalies dove like a little extra just for that ball. And like, that was very noticeable to me. So I really liked how, each player amped it up. I think that's really impressive. And just, with Chelsea being in there, it's just easier to watch.
Yeah, I feel that. I think a big thing too that's like super interesting about the Champions League is the whole away goal thing. Like,
Yeah.
because when you're the home team, you're like, all right, we should be on the front foot because we're the home team. Normally we have the fans behind us, whatever, not so much this year, but in general. And then, but at the same time, you're like, we can't give up a goal. Like we can't, because if we give up a goal, we're kind of screwed. Because then the team at home, the next leg is just going to sit in and not let us get through. So it's really a double-edged sword on how aggressive you want to play, home and away. I mean, away, when you're away, you really usually go for it because those goals are so important. And like, there is a very good example. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the game itself, or like there's like a video on YouTube where it's like a movie about the PSG Barcelona game. It's had to have been, I think, 2018, 2019, maybe, where in the first leg PSG was up 4-0, and like everyone was like, oh my god, like PSG is a real team now. Like they're taking, and this was a good Barca team. Not the Barca teams we've seen the past 2 years. And Barca's manager was like, in a press conference, he's like, if they can score 4 on us, why can't we score 6 on them? And everyone was like, oh, okay, like, sure, I guess you could say that. And then they went out and they scored 6 goals and they won 6-5 on aggregate. And the craziest part was I think they were up 3-0 or 4-0. And then I think it was 3-0. It was 3-0 and PSG scored in the second leg. And everyone was like, oh, that's even I was at my friend's house and Cavani scored. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to go make some food and I'll be back in a little bit, whatever. Because I was like, the game's over. And then Neymar in the last, I think he scored his first goal in like the 87th minute or something like that.
Right. And Neymar was playing for Barca at the time, right?
Yeah. Which I think he never should have left. I miss Neymar at Barca. It was my favorite version of Neymar I've ever seen. But he took over the last 10 minutes of the game. From the 87th minute on, it was the Neymar show. He scored a free kick.
Yeah.
He then scored a penalty kick. And then he assisted Sergio Roberto for the winner in like the 95th minute. And it was the most outrageous. Like I've never, because I'm a Messi fan. I'm not really a Barca fan, but I've never screamed more for a game. Maybe when the U.S. tied Algeria in 2010 to go to the knockout rounds, I'd probably scream more then. But that Barca game was unbelievable. It's probably the best game I've ever watched of soccer in my life.
Yeah. To get intense.
It was the most outrageous. It was the most outrageous game I've seen. But hopefully, now that we're on to the Champions League final for this year, this game tops it. I don't know how that's possible, but maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. What are your thoughts on how Chelsea's going to come out and play? And if you were to come out with your lineup, how would you start them? How would you start Chelsea? You're Thomas Tuchel. How are you starting Chelsea?
That's tough. Well, I'm trying to see. I don't want to be disrespectful because, Chelsea tends to have a lot of people who play. I want Kurt Zouma to start. I like Kurt Zouma.
All right.
I like Silva, of course. I want them in the back. There's another spot in the back where I need another player. Let me see. Richie James. I have him in the back. I like him a lot. I definitely need Pulisic at the 10.
Okay.
I like Ben Chilwell a lot. I like Mason Mount. I definitely need them starting on like the left back?
Yeah,
right?
Chilwell left back. Yep.
Yeah. Timo plays like the up top part, right?
Yep, striker.
So yep. I like Timo there because, as you said, like he doesn't score every opportunity he gets, but he definitely gets other people's shots.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
I
think you're missing like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Kai Havertz is one of my favorite players on the team, but maybe right now he's better suited off the bench, because Timo is definitely like when we played I'm folding Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
That first leg, it kind of showed that Kai wasn't ready. He didn't play bad, he didn't play terrible, but he was timid. And like it's not time to be timid. So I think Timo, his experience is definitely gonna help us out there. But I'm definitely nervous for the game. There's no question. I mean, Man City is very, very good. They play really well together. I think they play much better together than we do. Our chemistry is, on one game, off one game, where it seems like Man City is just kicking it too. They know where everybody's gonna be. So that's really impressive. But as you like Tom, I got Tom, putting out a good game plan. I really like Tom. He's without Tom, I don't know if I would like the team so much because every time something happens, whether we score or miss, they show him. He's like,
yeah. I
love his energy.
Yeah, dude. That's another thing about the game that I really like is how into it the managers are.
Yeah.
And like I've gotten into coaching recently, and even when I was doing like I coached high school girls in the fall.
Right.
And
That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, it's super cool. I really enjoy it. And I was coaching a JV game the one time, and like for the first couple of weeks, like the JV team was like kind of struggling or whatever, and we were like working through some things because a lot of them were. I think I had like out of like the 18 girls I had, I think like 11 of them were freshmen. So like It was a very young team. So like we were just kind of working through the growing pains and stuff of playing like high school soccer or whatever. And we were playing a night game. And I remember the goal that we scored was like right out of practice. Like we worked on like that exact movement and all that stuff. And I went nuts when they scored. Like I went nuts. Feeling. Oh, it was unbelievable. And we won the game. And it was a great feeling. But going back to what you were saying, I think they played Real Madrid was the game you're talking about.
Real Madrid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Liverpool.
yeah, because Liverpool played Real Madrid the round before, so your confusion is understandable.
I'm sorry.
But so for my lineup for Chelsea, I think they'll go 5 back as they usually do.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Rudiger, Thiago Silva, and then I don't know if it's going to be Zuma or Christensen. I feel like it might be Christensen just because he's a better ball player than Zuma is. But then Reece James on the right. Actually, I think they might start Azpilicueta on the right just because he's so experienced. I think they might do it.
Now, if they start him, do you think Reece comes in at all or no?
I think if they need a goal, because Reece is much more creative going forward.
Okay.
So I would say if they need a goal, even if they're tied, like even if the game's tied late on, I think they bring on Reece James as one of the subs. Chilwell on the left.
Absolutely.
Then you got like, it's probably going to be like Kovacic or Jorginho, and then Conte is the other one. With Mason,
he's steady.
Yeah, with then Mason Mount probably would fill in there. And then I think it's gonna be Timo and Havertz, because I think Christian off the bench is very dangerous.
He's been coming off the bench lately. He has been. So.
Him against Real Madrid, he came on, he was just dribbling past everybody, dribbling past everybody. So I think I think him off the bench is super dangerous, because when defenders have tired legs, he's not a guy you're like, yeah, cool, we get Christian. They're like, geez, he's coming on. Like, this is not good for us.
He's a beast.
Now for City, it's very interesting. Now, for those of you who don't know, City have not started a striker in a Champions League game, and I don't think the whole season. Maybe early on, but I don't even remember the last time they did it. They've been playing like a false 9, 3 false 9s basically, where they all kind of just like interchange. But the back line, I think, is going to be Stones and Diaz. Walker on the right. I think they're going to start Zinchenko on the left, not Cancelo. Ederson's obviously in goal, and Mendy's obviously in goal for Chelsea. But that was those were givens. Yeah. I think it's going to be Rodri, KDB. Or I don't know. The front 6 is kind of like hard to pinpoint because they don't really have like positions in and of themselves. But I think it's going to be something like Rodri, Mahrez, KDB, Foden, and then who else is there? You still got Bernardo Silva. I'm missing a center. Oh, Gundogan, I think will start. And so I think it's got. So this is how I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Sterling,
Beast.
KDB, Mahrez, Foden, De Bruyne, or Foden, Gundogan, Rodri, and then the back line I said plus Ederson.
Yeah.
Which I think is our best lineup. Maybe Bernardo starts instead of Sterling for Sterling's pace off the bench.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely be interesting to see how it goes, because you also then have on City side you have Aguero.
Can't forget about him.
It's his last game. It's his last game at City. It's his last game.
I saw that, but I didn't think too much of it, but I definitely saw that on Bleacher Report. Why is that?
So they've just decided. I mean, he's kind of getting old. I think he's like 33.
Right.
And I mean, he's probably the greatest player to ever play at City.
Right.
He scored the goal, one of the most incredible goals I've ever seen, to win City their first championship on the last day, tied on points with Man U, win by goal difference. It was nuts. Awesome. And then, but yeah, I think it's just time. Like, they've both mutually decided it's time to move on. And I don't know if you saw, there was a video of like Sky Sports in England doing an interview with Pep, and Pep was like choked up about like talking about Aguero leaving, and like it's crazy. But I'm pretty sure it's already confirmed he's going to Barca.
Okay.
So because him and Messi are like best friends, Messi's his like son's godfather or whatever. So he doesn't get much closer than that. But so I think he's gonna go to Barca. But it's his last game, so I wouldn't be surprised if like they're tied. He comes on like the 87th minute, bags a goal for the winner. Like, it would just be written. It would just be written like that. But then you also got like Olivier Giroud, on Chelsea, who also like he's going to show his kids his best goal, his grandkids his best goals, and they're going to think he was the best player to ever play soccer.
Dog.
He scores outrageous goals.
Yeah.
I don't know if who else you guys got coming off the bench a lot. I mean, Callum Hudson-Odoi. I think he's kind of average, but is Billy Gilmore in the squad?
Yeah, so I was about to say I know him off the bench, and then there's just one player off the bench. I can't think of his name. He has a number in the 20s. He usually comes off the bench and he produces really, really well for us. He has nice class. He has really nice footwork.
Is it Kovacic? Does he play center mid?
He definitely plays in the center mid.
So I would say it's probably Kovacic. If maybe
but he starts sometimes.
Ziyech.
Definitely him.
Ziyech is who you're talking about. Yeah. Ziyech is definitely dangerous because especially if you bring him and Pulisic on, because Pulisic be making those through runs, and then Ziyech just plays that ball behind, and you're kind of screwed. Screwed. But yeah, I think I mean I know obviously I'm biased, but I think City's going to end up winning the game because I mean they split the last. I think they're 2-2 on the season. Chelsea got them in the FA Cup semifinal and at the end of the season in the league. Mm-hmm. City beat them in the Carabao Cup and in the league in the beginning of the season.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a tie. I mean, not a tie. I think it's going to be City's going to win. I'm going to say 3-1.
Okay.
And yeah, Pep's going to win his first Champions League without Messi.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with City winning, but I'm going to go 2-1. I think it's going to be real defensive game, real defensive. But we're talking about both legs, right?
No, it's only one leg for the final. Only one leg
for the final?
Only one game for the final.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep, only one game for the final.
Oh, so yeah, I'm going to still go 2-1, Man City. Definitely. Because, Man City, just with them being – real chemistry-wise, one of the best teams I've seen so far, they win. Like as we said, the 19-20 game winning streak, that does not happen.
Yeah.
Soccer is way too hard. Like literally, like not even like physically playing the sport. Like I'm talking like the toll on your body, like to win 19 games or 20 games. Because there's a good chance that with the 19 games, 20 games, there was 10 different lineups.
Oh, so, yeah. Like, absolutely.
More impressive. Yeah. So City's they're definitely deeper than us for that reason alone. And then, stars are going to star. So I think City got it this year, but next year we're coming.
I'm really excited to watch KD. I'm always excited to watch KDB play, but I'm really excited to watch KDB play in this final because I think he's going to pull some stuff out of his hat that we haven't even seen yet. It's going to be fantastic. All right. But I think that does it for us today here on the Around the World Soccer Podcast, our first episode. We talked about a lot of stuff. A lot. But yeah, so if you want to follow us on socials, you got me at ZLobo98. That's ZLOBO98. You got Addison at Blueprint Baby. That's Blueprint Baby with 2 Y's. And then you can follow us, our podcast page on Twitter at ATW Soccer Pod. That's ATW Soccer Pod. The YouTube channel is also Around the World Soccer. And this will be available everywhere you stream your podcasts. Thank you to everyone who's listened. Thank you to Philly Sports Network for giving me the platform to do this. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys. Thank you.